Realtree's Midwest Whitetail is brought to you by Cabela's, Cuddyback, America's Best Bowstrings, Drake Non-Typical, Easton Arrows, Frigid Forage, Fuse, Grizzly Coolers, and Realtree.
All of a sudden he comes busting out of the fence line there. Hold on, time out, we're not ready. It's been a whole week. I'm so happy to be hunting tonight. I'm all giddy with excitement. This is one of those mowed trails where I access a stand. And it's just getting beat down. It's a tree line. A great connector is why they use it. So we want to put a tree stand up here. We're going to look at a tree. That was the plan while I was working, but obviously I didn't get time to get that done. But I want to show you guys this setup on an aerial, why this is getting used so much, and I want to talk about these mowed trails. I use them a lot, so we'll go into more depth on it. Well, here it is, October 24th, guys. Finally made it out. All week I've been working, so I'm super excited to be out. We've got a southeast wind, which sets up perfect for this blind. We're setting the same place that Paige shot her buck about a month ago. So a southeast wind comes right out of that corner of timber, right at us, and then back into the standing corn back here. So it sets up perfect. Later in the week, hopefully we'll get a couple of stands set up. I meant to get it done this week, but like I said, I've been busy. 3 bucks that we could see in here, all target bucks. Probably the highest percentage buck is going to be Gramps, old Grandpa. He uses this area a lot, so I think we got a pretty good percentage chance of seeing him. Second one that uses this quite a bit is Blades. He uses this area a fair amount. And there's always an outside chance that we could see that flyer buck. I haven't seen him in a long time, but this is pretty close to where I would expect to see him if we did, so you never know. It's going to be a beautiful evening. We'll set in here and see what happens. Well, I brought the rattling antlers with us tonight. I typically don't rattle much from a ground blind, especially if it's close quarters like this. You can't see very far. As I feel like if one pops out and you're just got done rattling, he's got that sound pinpointed. And in a ground blind, I don't like it near as much as in a good tree. You don't feel like you'll get spotted in. Matter of fact, in that scenario, I mean, a lot of times I'll call to him just to see how they respond. I might use that in future years even, just if he's a buck that seems to be callable, you know, I'll do that. I did that with Crabs last year. He was on that oak making a scrape right there, and I was just kind of messing with him. I wanted to see how he'd respond. So when we get this stand set up right here, we're going to hunt it on a west wind. I'll call a lot more out of that, but you know, I've called in deer all the way from October 1st. I don't call as much in the real late part of the year when they're really keyed on food because they're on pins and needles so much, but I've actually called in quite a few deer in the early season. I call a little bit differently. It's, you know, going to be more subtle. Try to pique their curiosity. You know, even with their grunts, I might just grunt 1 or 2 times just to try and get them headed your direction. And the same thing with rattling. I'm going to rattle more like a sparring session versus what I would do in November, which would just be, you know, maybe a pretty loud, all-out fight kind of deal. So I just call a little bit different this time of year, but you never know the reaction you're going to get. And hey, if your target buck's out of range, you don't have much to lose anyway, so it's worth a try. .5. Got lucky. Well guys, it was a lot of fun to be out again. It was a little slower than I expected. I think we seen 4 or 5 bucks. They were all young bucks and a few does. But I think the next few days here, it's going to start to ramp up. We're about a week out from really good hunting, I think. So it's getting exciting. Try and get my work wrapped up and get back to hunting all the time here coming up. So stay tuned.